What's up, world, digital world? I haven't said that line in a long time. And if you're an OG I Digress listener, you're probably like, wow, we went way, way back. But I'm doing it because it's worthy, because homie is making changes to his brand presence, to his positioning, and it's all thanks to this amazing chief strategist, brand extraordinaire, hip hop enthusiast for the culture, for the business, for all the things. Evante Daniels, we appreciate you dropping this masterclass for I Digress. How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good, Troy. Thank you so much for having me on, bro. It's exciting to get to catch up now that we've walked through your brand and through your strategy.
For real. And we talk about this, but I think people don't realize it. When you're a consultant, there's only so much you can do on your own.
Yeah.
If I could give my own self the strategy hackers impact all the time, I wouldn't need anybody. But it doesn't work that way. We can be
Right.
very narrow-minded in our approach, in our delivery. And to be frank, first of all, Evante is smooth as I don't know what. If y'all need to learn how to slide in someone's DMs for business, he got the language on how to do that, because the way he went through that, I was like, oh my Lord. And before I know, I'm on a call. Next thing I know, the money is exchanged. We're doing the conversation. We're doing the dance. And next thing I know, I'm like, so this is my new brand now? This is how I show up in rooms now?
Yeah.
So smooth. We'll dive in deeper to that, but y'all know how I do on the show. I got to set the stage. And so I'm sitting here realizing something isn't working. And if you're a business leader for any type of length of time, a thought leader, an executive, you're launching a business, you have all the years of experience, sometimes it's not enough. If we can be real, sometimes we get to a plateau where I need help. I need assistance. So if you don't mind, walk me through your process of how I was and how you look through the lens of walking me through, my guidelines and everything.
Yeah, man. Well, so working in strategy is fun. I just want to go ahead and say that. They're like, if you're one of those dudes who loves strategy, they're like, strategy is the jam. That's where I live, is how do we think through solving problems? And most problems, that's usually what I tell people, and I'm pretty sure I told you this on my pitch call, was like 90% of issues come down to either what's communicated or how it's perceived. That's really the two middle grounds. And both of those fall into marketing when we talk about it. When I'm getting to meet people like you who are deep in build mode, you're head down focused on your work, then that also means you're not looking up and seeing everything else that's going on around you. So there's a limited perspective, but we don't get to pay attention to how we're communicating and how our communication is perceived, right? That's just not possible. Even how I'm talking right now, if I go back and listen to this episode, I'm sure I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I said that? Like, that's gonna but in the moment, I can't do both. So for me, in getting to know you and getting to know the podcast and the work that you're doing, it's really to start off by saying, well, first off, who are you? And what are you trying to communicate? Before we even get into what you're saying and how it's being received, what are we trying to achieve here?
Remember when marketing was fun? When you had the time to be creative and connect with your customers? Well, with HubSpot, marketing can be fun again. Turn one piece of content into everything you need. Know which prospects are ready to buy right now. And see all your campaign results in one place. Plus, it's easy to use, helping HubSpot customers double their leads in just 12 months. More time to, enjoy marketing again. Visit HubSpot.com to get started for free.
And I think that was probably our favorite conversation, was diving into like, yo, what do you want to do? Like, where is this? What's the point of what you're doing right now? Where do you want this to go? And for some folk, that's a really scary question, because you'd be running on the treadmill and you don't really think about where the treadmill's going. But motion always leads to direction. And so as a strategist, to go like, yo, you're not putting time into emptiness, even if it feels that way. And that's going to continue to lead to spaces. And so as a strategist is going to go like, yo, it doesn't matter how fast you get there. We just want to talk about direction. And then from there, it's about collaboration. And it's about saying, okay, if this is the way we need to move, this is where we want to go, then in talking through with you, it's like, well, who do we need to get there? Not from a side of like, oh, I need to check these people off of a list and let me go hit these people on LinkedIn with my smooth DMs, right? But it's like, no, realistically, if I had to make cool connects with people to get this thing done, who would those people be? Who would trust me? Who would be in my corner? Who would work with me? Because now we have direction, all of the rest of those pieces for me feel like dominoes. sales because I'm able to kind of say, okay, cool. We want to turn this into a larger platform. We want this to be a space for these conversations. We want this to inspire the next generation of business folk. And the people that we need to do that are in college right now. So how do we get to front of college folks? And so I think that was one of the biggest parts in our strategy work together was say, we have this amazing platform. We have this amazing show. How do we get it in front of the people who need it most?
What's up, digital world? You're listening to the I Digress audio experience with Troy Sandidge. Social media, marketing, storytelling, business, culture, and more. Coming to you in 3, 2, 1.
That's the hard thing. What I loved about the exercises, transparently, and I'm speaking for a lot of people here because I'm sure they fall into this trap too, is like we see brand as one dimensional. We don't see it as layering. And we don't see brand of what it could be. We see brand for what it is now. If Michael Jordan only position of what he was in that moment and not what he was chasing for, he wouldn't be the GOAT. He wouldn't be who he is. Period. Or anyone, insert whatever analogy, whatever person you look up to type of vibes. Like we have to position ourselves for who we want to be and lean into that direction.
Yeah.
Then just be standing here and saying, here's where we're at now. No one wants that. Right. They want winners.
Right.
I'm not about faking until you make it, but you at least got to position yourself like I am him, I am her, I am them, I am all of them. We're trying to make this thing happen. This is why I believe in me. And people experience that. So from your end, this is a two-part question. One, what does brand mean to you? And what is the biggest pet peeve you have about the misconception of brand?
Ooh, I can do this as a twofold. I like this question. As you saw, I started cackling even before you got the second half out. I'm going to answer it together. Branding is not visual identity. My biggest pet peeve in branding is that when people talk branding, they're like, let's talk logo. Dog, no, please, I'm begging you. Just give me mercy, give me a break, give me grace. Like, branding is not just your color scheme or your typography or how your website looks. It's not about how those things are. It's part of it. But what branding is about perception, right? It's about how someone literally sees you and what they take away from how they see you. I like to say we get this as Black folk immediately, right? Growing up, you knew the difference between wearing a pair of Keds and wearing a pair of Air Force Ones to school. And you were talked to completely different by even the teachers in the situation. Like just out the gate. And so you knew when your mom was like, nah, you gonna get them Keds, you were like, bro, you are ruining my social capital. You destroying everything that I've built so far. And then, some other dude who's a total joker shows up in some new brand Air Force Ones and suddenly he's at the top of the class and all this other foolishness, right? Like that was our childhood. Nothing's changed.
I'm dead, y'all. I'm dead.
We still have to deal with the situation. But now we know, right? Now we understand the reality of the situation. They're like, yo, there's a time to wear Keds. There's a time not to wear your Keds. The situation is depending on the environment. It's depending on who's around you. It's depending on how they are going to see that shoe. And as much as I love it to just be off of what I feel and what I like and what sticks to me, that means I would be wearing sweats every single day for the rest of my life because it's comfortable. I'm having a great time. And that's all I want to wear. But we live in a world where I got to go to meetings. I got to meet people who I want to be clients, right? And I want to get to know them. And me showing up in sweats does not necessarily send the message, I'm that guy.
Unfortunately.
This is, like that's where we live, right? And so like on a personal level, we get this. That's why we dress up for stuff. That's why we show up in different ways. The same thing applies to companies though. That's the part where a lot of people go, oh, it's just logo, type, all those things, because it becomes this really big, messy, interdimensional pile when you're talking about a company, because suddenly you've got employees. Even if it's just you may have that, admin at email that still goes back over to you. So you have an assistant or whatever, but it gives the impression of there being two people on staff, or you have a sales guy who says something a certain way. Suddenly that's someone's perception of the entire company. And this is why, companies freak when we talk about like making sure that your sales language is good, or that your elevator pitch is good, or that like this piece of language is critical, is because for that one customer or that one person or that one investor or that one vendor, this is going to shape the entire perspective of how they view who your company is and what they do. That's so much more than a logo. And it comes down to so much more than a logo. We all know the jokes on Black Friday. They're like, yo, you could show up in a Target in a red polo, khakis, just walk into Target. It's because people think you work there. That's branding. The fact that like Target is known for a red shirt and khaki pants is part of what makes you know, oh, I can go talk to that dude, right? And we pick up on these things all the time. The way that you go to Chick-fil-A and they say, is it have a blessed day. Or if you say, thank you, they say, my pleasure. Thank you. I was trying to remember the one. They have those pieces that come out and you may go, that's really funny that they say it all the time. But every time you go to Chick-fil-A, they're going to say it.
Or you get mad when they don't say, like, excuse me.
Excuse me, I
didn't get my pleasure. Like, what's going on?
I just get angry. Right? Give me my chicken minis and no my pleasure. What's going on? Right? But that's branding. And so like a lot of times when you deal with brand strategy, you deal with brand designers, they look at it purely from a visual standpoint. And they're like, yo, this is what your website looks like. Congratulations. And it's fantastic, it's sexy design, but then you didn't design it for people who are ADA accessibly or need those compliance issues. Or the copy on the page is just too messy. It reads like somebody wrote it from inside the industry. It's pieces like that that really set aside branding. And so my pet peeve with branding consistently is that someone will go like, I rebranded my company and it's a new logo. And that's it. And like, that's the end of the project.
Congratulations.
Right? Like, what did that mean? Why'd you put the money into the
I'm about to get another zero in my business right now. I'm like, okay.
Like, I hope. I mean, like, I hope it works out for you. It's never worked out for anybody I knew, but like, good luck.
Creators Are Brands, hosted by Tom Boyd, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. Creators Are Brands explores how solo creators and storytellers are building brands online, from the mindsets to the tactics to the business side. They break down what's working so you can apply that to your own mission, and so much more. Listen to Creators Are Brands wherever you get your podcasts. I want to double down on the point you made about the red shirt and the khakis from Target. Because here's the thing people deal with branding. You could also say, well, hey, if I wore a red shirt and khakis at a State Farm, people think I work for State Farm. Well, I don't want people to steal my thing. If I create this thing, someone just told me my positioning, I sound like this person, I look like this person, I come across like this person, and then I don't know what my identity is anymore. I'm not trying to follow nobody. What do you say to the people who are so obsessively trying to match whatever they are as a branding, positioning to someone else? What do you tell them?
To keep from being too tongue-in-cheek, I'm going to have to fall back on industry language for a second and just say that market differentiation is maybe 2%. In all honesty, compare Walmart to Target for a second. They're both big brand grocery stores. They both carry a variety of items going from household to automotive to clothing to groceries. They both have a similar layout. What's the difference? The lighting, the color, and the Target mops them floors, right? Like, and that makes a difference, right? For a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, Target's more expensive. It's this higher quality version and all this other stuff. It's the same store. There is a 3% difference between those two stores when you really break it down, and your customer can't deal with more than a 5% difference. We have to, one, understand how much of an X factor we really have in a situation and how important that is. Same thing for seasoning, same of any situation, right? You put too much and suddenly ain't nobody eating that. That's way too much salt. I don't know what you did to that thing. Start over. And it becomes like, well, this was weird, dog. Like, and you don't want that experience for a company. And so a lot of times when people are like, nah, this is my thing, this is me being different, it's like, yes, you're unique. You're a fantastic, multifaceted, multidisciplinary individual, just like everybody else. And we have to understand where our uniqueness fits in there, right? That there is a part that makes us different, whether that's the dog or the red or these pieces. But we also got to understand that there's a standard that's being set by the entire picture. So when you see a company try to do too many different strange things at one time, they end up losing their base. They end up losing their culture because people can only deal with a little bit of change at a time. If you get too excited on the differentiator, what makes you different, and you hone on that over and over and over again, then people won't be able to relate. Right? Now, personally, there's an ego side to this that makes us think that these other companies were super ingenuitive and came up with this stuff from like a deeper level, and that, this is how the great minds thought about these companies when they were first getting started. No, sir, that's not how that happened. Okay. What happened is over time, they learned about their customer, and they learned what their customer enjoyed and what worked well for their customer. The original layout for Walmart, the original layout for Target, we don't use those layouts anymore. And it's not because of just a genius idea. It's because of behavioral research. They said, oh, this is how we can make the store a better experience. And they came to the same conclusion, regardless if they use the same company or not. And so rather than fighting to be different, know what makes you unique, know the thing that sets you apart, but look at the industry and learn from it. Right. If this is a Fortune 100, Fortune 500 company that is bringing in billions a year, and you're trying to understand how to tap the same market, look at how they did it. You may not have all the capital, all the resources. That's part of what's going to set you apart. So you can't do it just like they did. But if you're able to look at that, we call that stealing like an artist. It's to put your own take on what's in front of you. When we get too caught up on making it completely unique and completely different, it's like creating art without looking at color theory. It ain't going to work well. And even if you're like, I've never looked at color theory, I guarantee you that nice art piece you created used color theory.
For real. I think people don't realize how deep all of this goes and how much goes into it beyond the logo. And I don't know if we answered the question on what your pet peeve is. Was your pet peeve that people only think? Okay. I wanted to clarify. I want that to be spelled out for real. My pet peeve is y'all always think it's all about the logo.
Yeah, my pet peeve is that when people talk branding, they talk visual identity exclusively.
And that's a wrap. We hope you enjoyed this episode of I Digress. What was your takeaway? Care to share your thoughts and tag Troy on social media? You can find him on all platforms at Find Troy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review or comment for this episode from wherever you're listening. Looking for a marketing strategist to build the structure, strategies, and systems you need to get the success you want and the ROI you desire in your business? Book a discovery call to talk with Troy at findtroy.com. And as Troy's philosophy goes, imagination is the engine, content is the fuel, social media is the highway, marketing is the roadmap, sales is the destination, culture is the GPS. Thanks for listening.